there comes a moment in our lives when we find ourselves in this awkward, unpleasant, or tragic situation. These situations, more often than not, they are unavoidable and they make us feel out of control. But the truth is that they can be dealt with in a positive manner. Believe it or not, the way we choose to deal with it, that lies entirely in our hands. Imagine that, right? The purpose of my thesis, it's not to cure, it's not to solve, it's not to avoid these situations. Instead, it is to give each and every one of you guys hope and a reason to smile. Because sometimes that's all we can do. I, as a graphic designer, firmly believe that graphic design has the power to create positivity, even in the darkest of times. I present you my thesis, Reimagining Healthcare, which aims to create and support positive environments through purposeful design and to heal suffering through visual aids. This takes me back to a conversation that I had with my dad last summer. He's that guy, that handsome guy right over there. For those of you who don't know, my dad, Rao, he was a remarkable graphic designer of his time, who sadly found himself in a really terrible situation. He was diagnosed with cancer early last year. Naturally, upon hearing this news, I decided to fly back to my hometown, which is Mumbai City, last summer to be there for him during his chemotherapy sessions. Like most cancers, chemotherapy involves the treatment of chemical substances, and as a result, my dad was mostly confined to his bed, like many other patients who go through something similar. Being a very creative and a very critical person, my dad would point out numerous things that only a graphic designer would notice. Like, an example that comes to my mind is boarding trays that his food was brought to him on. He would joke and he would say, it's like the hospital went out of its way to make mealtime super boring and not make me want to eat. And let's disregard the fact that I would sometimes sneak in food, without people knowing, because it would put a smile on his face. The fact was that it was challenging to find ways to spend time together when you're trapped in the situation. To pass the time, we would play crossword puzzles, we would talk, we listen to music, engage in some conversation, and as a result of this, we would share a few laughs and we would smile at each other. I noticed similar patterns in the patients around us. And as I researched this further, I realized that there is a technical term for it, of course. It's called flow. Conceptualized by psychologist Mihaly, what is flow? Flow is when a person is so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. So even if it was for a second, Dad and I, we forgot that awful situation that we were in, and we focused on more positive stuff that made us smile. So you could say that my thesis idea, it started with a smile. All of it started with a smile that my dad and I shared. You're right, it's easier said than done. I mean, I can stand here and talk about smiling, but let's start with issues that I faced, like physical distance. It's really hard to be in Atlanta, Georgia, receiving this news when he is all the way in Bombay, India, which is 8,464 miles away, and yes, I looked that up. It does take 18 hours and 10 minutes. If you get a direct flight, maybe lesser, but it's not great. And it's not just me who was feeling frustration, he was feeling it too. Imagine, close your eyes for a second and just imagine having to rely on someone else to do daily tasks every day. Like something as simple as taking a shower. Like imagine if you can't do that yourself. Anyone's going to feel frustrated. And I realized it's not just me and him that are feeling frustrated, it's also the people around us. Like the caregivers at the hospital that he was admitted in, for example. They would worry about his state of mind when they're not around him, and like I said, it was not just him, other patients too. And they would wonder if he's lonely, which, I mean, patients get lonely. I mean, you're sitting in bed all day, Nothing to do. So I realized that there is a lack of trust between the patient, the family member, and the caregivers. So it's not a two-way street, it's a three-way street, and it's involving these three parties. And that is something that struck me odd. So I continued down the rabbit hole researching about this, and I came up with this fact that said patients suffered less anxiety when smiling, especially those with Duchenne smiles. What is a Duchenne smile? Well, there are three types of facial expressions. There's a neutral expression. There's a standard expression, which is also called the standard smile. And then there's a Duchenne smile. A Duchenne smile is a smile that not only reaches your eyes, reaches your heart, it makes you feel pure, it makes you feel true. And believe it or not, there are so many benefits of Duchenne smiling. Let's see what they are. You have a lower heart rate, lower anxiety levels, healthy functioning of blood vessels, and increase in dopamine levels in the brain. And overall, a more positive mood. And for those of you guys who don't believe in smiling, fake it, because even that helps. Like our good friend Hausier says, everybody lies. Well, I would suggest smile while you're doing that, or fake it, because it has benefits. And it's still going to make you feel better, because researchers have said that merely holding a pencil in your mouth in a way that stimulates the smile muscles makes you feel better, it improves your mood. And I get it, we're complicated, people are very complicated, the design of the human mind is complicated. And this is where I feel graphic design can use its magical powers to make life a little less complicated and a little more positive. And there are some establishments that have also realized the importance of involving not just the body, but also the mind in the process of healing. Like the Shepherd Center. Recognized as one of the world's leading spinal cord and brain injury rehab centers, Shepherd Center is located just down the street in Atlanta. And it is truly amazing what they do. I had the privilege of not only visiting the center, but meeting really incredible people who took time out of their lives to show me around and let me soak it all in. And something that really stood out to me was this. This was the room of their physical therapy. So imagine you're a patient and you're doing physical therapy and you're on your back all day, like not all day, but for a lot of hours in the day, and you're looking at a white ceiling, and then you see this. It's a small thing, but it goes a really, really, really long way. And this is what brings us to marrying healthcare with design. There's a term for it. It's called human-centered design. And basically what it means is it's for the user and it's of the user. Let me further emphasize on this with the global innovation firm IDEO. For those of you who don't know, IDEO is an international design and consulting firm founded in Palo Alto, California in 1991. This company believes that the key to figuring out what humans really want, it lies in two things. One, observing user behavior. So for example, if you are designing a vacuum cleaner, watch people vacuum. And the second one is putting yourself in the user's shoes. So to feel what the users are feeling, not just what you feel. Because that makes all the difference when you design. Although I had this experience with my dad, I decided to go out into the world and talk to other people. Because, like I said, I'm designing for others, not just myself. So I crafted this survey that you guys see in front of you, and I distributed it amongst healthcare professionals, families, friends, patients, anyone who's been in a similar situation as mine or is aware of it, or who deals with it. And people had a lot to say, and I was very, very surprised with some of the answers. A few of the questions that stood out to me was, what would you prefer doing, immersing yourself in an activity or being lost in your thoughts? As you can see, a whopping 82.11% said they're going to be more interested in immersing themselves in an activity. And I asked them what kind of stuff? And it was, as you can see, everyone has their likes and dislikes, but not being lost in your thoughts, because that is dangerous. And then I asked this question. I said, what makes you smile? And I want you all to take a moment and read some of these because they're amazing. My daughters make me smile. Other staff members smiling at me make me smile. The smell of rain and old books makes me smile. My grandkids, happy thoughts, memories, my son, a simple thank you. Small things in a very long day that just make you light up, just a little bit. I'm designing for the caregiver, and I'm designing for other patients. And that's what makes my design solution different, because if design can lead to smiling, and smiling can lead to positivity, that means design can definitely lead to positivity. So without much further ado, I give you Looking Up, the Positive Healthcare app. So to explain this app, instead of just showing you the features one after the other, I'm going to take you guys through a story that is going to help understand this better. I'd like to introduce you to three people. These three characters are going to take you through the story. One is patient Vikram. In my native language of Hindi, Vikram means bravery. He is a patient admitted into a rehab center who's recovering from a spinal cord injury. The second photo is Meera. She's Vikram's daughter. In Hindi, Meera means helpful and loyal. And she lives far away from her dad. And she misses him. And three is Nurse Aruna, who's a caregiver. And that means New Dawn. And she interacts with Vikram daily and spends a lot of time attending to him. So Vikram's fast asleep in his hospital bed, and he wakes up to this notification on his phone which says, "Hey Vikram, good morning. Would you like to listen to an audio note Meera sent you? She misses you." Naturally, he clicks on it, and he gets greeted with the screen. And he can play that audio note. He can play it. He can definitely play it. Or not. Basically, it's a wake-up message from Meera that tells him that she misses him and that she wishes she was there. And that's not the only thing he can see. He can also see what's coming up next. So for example, if you click on this image, you get to see Meera's profile from Vikram's phone. And if you're ever confused as to whose phone I'm showing you, because I'm going to show you all three, you just have to direct your attention to the top dashboard, which says the name of the person and their icon. So you get to know who that is. Let me go back to this for a second. So he gets up, he listens to this message, and then he goes to see what's next. And he sees bath time tunes, and the message reads, "Aruna loves Queen and thought you might enjoy this song as you wait." Let me back up for a second. This is the nurse's point of view. Her name is Aruna, like I said earlier, and that's her little icon on the top. And this is how she views it on her tablet, because nurses carry tablets as they walk around. So she doesn't only see Vikram, she sees patient Michelle, who likes, what are her icebreakers? Ballet dancing, painting, suspense novels, gardening. And then she sees Michael. What is he like? Photography, cats, beaches, tacos. Okay then. I would love a taco right now. And then we come back to Vikram, who likes classic rock, sushi, motorcycles, and basketball. So Aruna is doing her rounds, and she's walking towards Vikram's room. And they both are dreading what's coming up, which means that she has to help him get a bath. So all she's got to do is click on this, and it takes her to the screen that says classic rock music, and says, like you, Vikram is a huge fan of classic rock, especially Queen and the Beatles. We've curated some of the best playlists below, which could make bath time a little less unpleasant for you both. Again, not to solve it, but a little less unpleasant. So she clicks, she's going to listen to them. Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive. And the world definitely a winner. So she's going to click that song, and then she's going to share that with Vikram. And the app says that, yeah, this video has been posted to his wall. So if Vikram smiles today, you definitely had something to do with it. And then all she has to do is go back, and then she can view her other patients and maybe show them up as well. So let me go back to Vikram for a second. So Vikram can view this same video that she posted to his wall, and if he wants, he can favorite it, he can make it his ringtone, or he can make it his alarm. That's if he wants. The next flow that I'm going to take you guys on is going to be between Vikram and his daughter, whose audio message we could not hear. So this is Meera from Vikram's profile. And this is Meera from her profile, when she's on her phone a million miles away and she's missing him. So she's greeted with the same dashboard. She's got the nav bar on the bottom, and she has "Let's cheer up pops today" on the top. And she has a few options that the app generates for her. They're activities like memory bingo, a word jumble, a crossword puzzle. So in this case, I'm going to take you guys on the memory bingo route. So it says, take a walk down memory lane with this emotional game. You guys are guaranteed a smile by the end. So let's click on that. So you get the title, a little bit about it, and it prompts you. It says, click on one of the squares below to begin. So she clicks on smiling selfie because it's in the center, and she says, choose from photos. And she's greeted with her album. Now, as you notice, there were two options. She could either take a photo or she could choose from them. So the app is not, it's giving you an option. It's not telling you exactly what you want to do. It makes you feel a bit empowered. So in this case, she does not take selfies, so she chooses this embarrassing photo of herself. And she says, nice choice. Do you want to use this? Totally. Yep, let's do it. Because it's going to make him smile, not you, him. And then it says, awesome, you filled one of the blocks. Why don't you send this to Pops and ask him to fill in the next one? So do you guys remember the pain points I talked about earlier, the issues of distance and frustration? Well, in this case, you're allowing the family member and the patient to reminisce about something happier, something positive. And that makes the distance seem a little less intimidating, if not completely solving it. And it allows the patient to feel a bit wanted and gives them a sense of importance because, as you see, the button here reads, ask him for help. And then it gets sent to him. And then if you go back to his profile, there it is. So you get this notification in the bottom which tells you that you have something new in your inbox of the app. And as you go in there, it says, Meera needs your help. And once you click on that, you're taken through the motions that I was taken through to actually put the selfie out there. And this way he can fill in the rest. Another really cool feature about the app is the chat feature. So say he's in his bed and it's late at night and his family's not there or they've slept off and it's after dinner and he doesn't know what to do. So he can actually chat with other patients. So for example, if you click on one, it says, Jackie's a patient in Harmerville Health South, recuperating after her car accident. She also has a spinal cord injury. What that says is that you're not the only one going through this, somebody else is also going through this. And then if you're not sure, the app even tells you, begin composing your message. You'll be surprised to know how many other people have similar feelings of loneliness and frustration. It really, really helps to talk about it, don't be scared. That's a feature that I feel would be really helpful because sometimes patients feel they're the only one going through something, and in this case, you know you're not. And you can also send a photo, a GIF, or a voice note if you feel like. And this feature is something that I want you all to take note of because it's helped me a lot in my situation. It's called the Gratitude Journal. How many of you guys, by show of hands, how many of you all have heard of it? That's awesome. That's great. And how many of you guys actually do it? There you go. Nice. So I do it too. It's great. And this app actually enables you to do that. So I'll walk you guys through how that works. It says, what made you smile today? Click to update, keeping in tune with the app that's looking up. So if you click on this, you can begin composing your entry. And once you do that, all you gotta do is post it. And in this case, Vikram posts that he played memory bingo with his daughter earlier this day. And if you go to Mira, you realize that so did she. She posted the same thing on her app, which is pink to indicate it's hers and blue to indicate it's his. And you can also view other recent entries, because that sometimes helps me when I don't know what to write about. I kind of view something else I've written about in the past. So in this case, he watched the Bulls win against the Raptors, and he loved that because he's a big fan of the Bulls. And on this over here, he reconnected with an old friend from high school, and we had yummy pizzas for dinner as a treat. So as you see, the list goes on the new badge during physical therapy. That brings me to another feature, badges, gamification. What this does is, if you click on the icon of the person, not only does it give you icebreakers, like we saw earlier, like classic rock music was the flow I took you all through, you have sushi, motorcycles, basketball, and if you click on badges, you get to see badges that the app gives you, it awards you for something that you've done. So you kind of get to know a little bit about the personality of the person. So like over here, Nurse Aruna, she's delightfully dependable. Rise and shine means she's a morning person. She's a nature lover, a music buff, and she likes to make funny conversation. And if you simply click on one of these, it takes you to a screen that gives you a snapshot of what it contains. So in this case, it says, Nurse Aruna always has your back, and this badge proves that she is someone who you can count on. When you're sent a message on home and you really like it, you guys can see there's a heart icon in the corner. All you gotta do is click on that and it gets saved here. So in this case, this was me and my dad playing pool, and he found it on his phone and he decided to post it to her. And in this case, this is really another very embarrassing childhood memory. You're welcome, Maya. That is my sister, and she's right there. And let's see if the message plays now. Still doesn't. Just check it. Just check it. For all you guys who are interested to view this app in detail, it's on my website, designsbymoksha.com, and it's the first project on the top you can't miss it. So let me come back to what I was talking about. As you all can see, I was trying to create this fluid ecosystem of happiness by helping the patient, the family member, and the caregiver smile. The purpose of this app is to restore hope in each and every one of you. I'm proposing and designing the change that I want to see. And I want you all to leave this auditorium tonight with hope and finding those little good moments in life, because sometimes all we can do is look up. And that's what my dad did. This would have not been possible without my dad. He's my inspiration, and life isn't fair sometimes, but the fact that he's finally found peace has given me a lot of bittersweet happiness. And thank you, Mom and Maya, for being here. Holly, thank you for pushing me when I did not want to be pushed. Always believing in me. Never giving up on me. And even when I didn't want to see the problem, you made me see the problem. And I'll be forever grateful, more than you can know. Thank you, Melissa, for being such a great company member. Thank you, Trina, for all the laughs, for being so encouraging, to make me feel like I can actually do this. And Johan, thank you for being there through everything. Through all the screaming and all the fights and all the I can't do this. Thank you, because And thank you all for actually being there today, in spite of finals, in spite of the rain,